Good morning, Cappuccino. Here is our warm-up for today, April 6th. Sorry, yesterday I wrote the wrong date. Yesterday's warm-up was 5-5. I accidentally wrote 5-6 on that. Okay, so today is 5-6. Let's find the slope between 2 points. So to find the slope between 2 points, we know how to plot these points. So I'm going to set up my X and Y axis. Put on my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. So I am going to put my points on a graph so I can find the rise and the run. So using the lines on my graph paper, I'm setting up my graph. So the first point, -1, so that's to the left, and +2, that's up. So there's my first point. My second point is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and -1 is down 1. Okay, so 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 1. There it is. So now I can connect my 2 points to make my line. Here's my line. And I want to find my rise and my run. So I'm going to use my graph paper lines to go straight down and straight over. I'm making a triangle. This is called a slope triangle. I'm creating a triangle using the graph paper lines. So what is my rise? My rise is the up and down. So to go from this point, the one on the left, to the one on the right, I have to go down 3. I'm going down, so it's negative. So that's my rise. And then my run is to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting the spaces. 6 spaces. That's 6. So slope is equal to rise over run. So my rise is -3, and my run is 6. Let's see, can I simplify that? I can write 6 as 3 times 2, and -3, I can write that as -1 times 3. So see, I have a 3 over a 3. 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so I can reduce that. So my final answer is -1/2. -1/2. Okay? Now I want to show you something interesting on the graph. If I use my slope from this point and say go down 1 and to the right 2. So from here, I can use my slope to find more points. I can go down 1 and then to the right 2. See how that puts a point right there on the line? And I can do it again. Down 1 and to the right 2. And there I am again. I'm on the line. And I can do it again. Down 1 to the right 2. So I can use my slope to put on more points on that line. And I could even extend it. I could go down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. And see how all those points are on that line. So the slope are instructions for how to put more points on the line. Okay, the slope es la dirección para más puntos en la línea. Okay, abajo 1, a la derecha 2. So de un punto va abajo 1, a la derecha 2. Abajo 1, a la derecha 2. Abajo 1, a la derecha 2. Entonces, más puntos en la línea, abajo 1, a la derecha 2. Es tan posible. Okay, let's try the next one. So let's set up our X and Y axes using the lines on the graph paper. Setting it up. Okay, now I'm going to plot my points. The first point, -2. So 2 to the left and -1, down 1. That'd be right here. Okay, 2 to the left and down 1. And then the other point, 1, so 1 to the right, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to connect my points to make my line. And now I want to find my slope. So I need to go from the left to the right. So I'm going to rise. So that's vertical change. And then to the right, horizontal. Okay? Vertical primero, horizontal segundo. So how many spaces did I go up? ¿Cuántos espacios arriba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so make sure you start at the point. Okay, a el punto. Entonces, 1 espacio, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 spaces up. I'm going up, so it's positive. And then to the right. How many to the right? 1, 2, 3. 3 to the right. So my slope is rise over run. Wait, did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, that was a 6. Why did I put a 5? That's a 6. Did you see me counting badly? I need to double check my work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6. So that's 6 over 3. Hey, this is the same as 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3, I know that one. That's just equal to 2. So I can reduce that to just a 2. So the slope on this one is 2. The slope on this one is -1/2. Okay, so that's using a graph and making a slope triangle. So this triangle here, this is called a slope triangle. Very useful for finding slope between 2 points, or slope of a line. Okay, we make the triangle. But there's another way. So in our notes, we're going to look at another way to find slope, which is using a formula. We're going to use a formula to find slope. So we're going to do the same problems again, but using a formula. So we're going to go over to our notes section of our notebook. So here's some of the past notes where we use the graph. Now I have a formula for you. So we're going to find slope with a formula. So we know slope is rise over run, rise divided by run, and rise is the vertical change, the change in y. That's the vertical change. So the change up and down. And the run is the horizontal change, the change side to side. How far do we move to the right? How far do we move up or down? Now there's a formula for it that we can do using the points. So we can just do it with the numbers. We don't need to graph it. We're going to subtract the y values on top, and we're going to subtract the x values on the bottom. So what's my x? What do these mean? What do these things mean here? Y sub 2 means the second y. This is the second y. This is the first y. This is the second y. So this is my second y, because it's the second point that I have. And y sub 1 would be the first y. That would be the first y. Okay, I'm going to subtract those two numbers. This number and this number will get subtracted from each other. Then in the denominator, I'm going to subtract the x's. X sub 2 means the second x. This is the second x because this is the second point. And x sub 1 means the first x value. This is the first x value. Okay? So we are going to do our formula. Our slope is going to be equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. y sub 2, my y's are here and here. These are my y values because it goes x, y, just like the alphabet. Just the same order as the alphabet. This is the second one. This is the second y. So my second y is -1. And then I'm going to minus my first y value. So my first y value is +2. Okay? So we could do that in parentheses also to make it more clear. First y value second y value minus the first y value. Okay? And then on the bottom, it's going to be, I'm going to put it into parentheses, the second x value. Where's the second x value? That's this one. Minus the first x value. Here's the first x value. So I'll put that into parentheses. Okay? So now I can rewrite these to make it easier to simplify. -1, change this to adding the opposite. Okay, so I'm rewriting. This one is 5. And then I have minus a negative. So that changes to a plus. +1. And then if I simplify, a -1 plus -2 is -3. 5 plus 1 is 6. And I can simplify that. This is the same as -1 times 3. And on the bottom, I have 2 times 3. 6 is the same as 2 times 3. -3 is the same as -1 times 3. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So what am I left with? I'm left with my slope is equal to -1/2. Now this is the same problem that I did in the warm-up. Did we get the same answer? Yes. We get the exact same answer using the formula. Okay, so the formula can seem pretty complicated. So I'm going to do it again using the formula, but I'm going to show you how I kind of do it kind of more easily on here. Remember, it goes x, y. This is an x value. This is a y value. This is an x. This is a y. That's how we label it. X, y, just like the alphabet. Now, I'm going to start with the second y value, and I'm going to subtract the first y value. So I start with the second one, and I subtract the first one. And that's going to go on top. So my slope is going to be equal to 5 minus -1. See how I'm making it much more simple by doing the arrows. And then on the bottom is going to be my x values. So I start with the second x value, the second point, and I'm going to minus the first one. So notice which way I'm going. My arrows, I'm going backwards. So I start with this one minus the other x value. That easy. So that's how I do it when I'm really doing it. I don't write the whole thing with the formula and the parentheses. I could, but I like to just say, okay, it's the y minus the y, and that's on top, and x minus x goes on the bottom. So I can rewrite this as 5 minus a negative becomes plus. 5 plus 1 is 6. And on the bottom, 1 minus a negative, that becomes plus. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So my slope is equal to 2. Okay, which is exactly what we got on the warm-up. All right, let's try one more. We'll do one more together, and then you'll be practicing this in math space. Okay, so find the slope. And I'm just going to make up some numbers. How about 2, 4, and 3, I don't know, 7. Okay? So also this formula works really well with big numbers. I could have done this with big numbers too that are hard to graph. Okay, so what did I do? Remember, it goes x, y, x, y. And we're going to do y minus y. It's the change in y. These are the up and down numbers. The 4 and the 7 are the up and down numbers. So my slope is going to be equal to 7 minus 4. 7 minus 4. And then on the bottom, my x numbers, 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2. I'm going to rewrite 7 plus negative 4, 3 plus negative 2. 7 plus negative 4 is positive 3 because I have more positives than negatives. And 3 plus negative 2 is 1. Oh, and I can divide that. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Now let's check it. Let's check and see if that really worked. If I graph it, do I get the same answer? Do I get the same answer if I graph it? So I'm going to set up a graph, and I want to check and see, did it really work? So 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here. And then 3 and 7. 1, 2, 3, and then up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's my first point, 2, 4. And my second point, 3, 7. So now if I make my slope triangle, oops, let's connect them first. Now I'll make my slope triangle. I'm going to rise, and I'm going to run. So what was my rise? Count the spaces, 1, 2, 3. And my run is 1. So my slope is rise over run. So my rise is 3, my run is 1, which is equal to 3. I get the same answer. So we have two ways to find the slope. Okay, I said I was only going to do one more example, but I just realized it would be good to do one with some big numbers. Find the slope. Because if I have really big numbers, say 10 and 25 and 15 and 12. What's going to be the slope there? Well, I don't want to graph those. I don't want to make a graph. These are too big. Okay? Cuando los números son muy grandes, es difícil a graficar. Poner los puntos en un graph porque los números están muy grandes. Es más fácil a usar la fórmula. Okay? It's easier if we use the formula. So remember, this is x, y, x, y. And we're going to do y minus y, and then x minus x. So my slope is going to be y minus y, 12 minus 25. Okay, that's the vertical change, the change in y, over the change in x, 15 minus 10. So I'm going to rewrite it, 12 plus negative 25, 15 plus negative 10. Okay, the bottom looks easier. I'm going to do the bottom first. 15 plus negative 10. I have more positives than negatives, so that's positive 5. And here I have more negatives than positives, and that would be negative 13. Whew. I can check that on my calculator if you're not sure. We can check that. 12 plus negative 25. Yeah, negative 13. I got it right. And let's see. Can I reduce this? 13. 1 times 13 is 13. 1 times 5. So nope, that's it. Nothing I can do to simplify it. So there is my answer. So it works with big numbers really well, finding the slope. Because if I were to graph that, that would be hard to do. Okay, now if you have an answer like this, in math space, they might want you to write negative 13 over 5. They might want you to have the negative in front, not on top. So be careful on that. Sometimes math space doesn't like the negative on top. Okay, cuidado en math space, porque math space no le gusta cuando el negativo está arriba o abajo. Math space prefiero que la negativo está enfrente la respuesta. So, cuidado, si su slope está negativo y es un fraction, pone la negativo enfrente, no arriba, no abajo, pero enfrente. Es mejor para math space. Okay, good luck. See you later. Bye-bye.